of you that know us, watch the videos, have been around at all, this is my 55 Chevy called Bad Temper. And it's something I've been designing for a long time, pretty much since I was about 13 years old. We replaced every bit of sheet metal on this thing with Golden Star sheet metal so that we could keep it in bare steel, burnish it, and then clear coat it with KBS's Diamond Clear to keep it from rusting or getting any kind of distortion or anything in the metal. It's a big block 4-speed, and the second that big block went in, this front end squatted about 1.5 inches further than I had planned. And as cool as it looks at that stance, it is almost impossible to drive, and we can barely get it into my driveway at home. It's scraping on everything. So we need to get this thing back up in the air. I ordered a set of heavy-duty springs for the front of it. We could have easily gone with coilovers or done something crazy, called up our guys over at QA1 and completely redid the front end, but the rest of the car is so old school that I have absolutely no plan on changing any of that from the stock configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and get those springs in there and hope it doesn't look like a gas remover.
I needed my coffee.
So I ordered these springs online. These are Federal Mogul, and I did say they were heavy-duty springs when I started the video and everything. These are actually a stock size replacement for the Tri-5 Chevy, and in the description on them, it did say that they work really well for heavier loads and big blocks and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I chose them. So let's pop this big monster in here, get them in on both sides. We're going to get everything pretty much tightened up and ready to go, at least enough for me to drop it on the ground and see what kind of stance we're looking at. If I'm happy with it and it's within an inch or so of what I would like, I'm going to go ahead and run it and see how they settle in and go from there. Either way, I'm going to be way happier and should be able to pull into my driveway. Alright, so it was a bit of a fight getting the longer springs in there. I do understand now why everybody loves to lower their vehicle, because man, that would have been way easier to put the little 2-inch shorter springs back in than those stock ones. But a few straps and had pretty much every jack in the shop out. We got it back together. It did help that the big block was in there, but it just wasn't quite heavy enough to get that last inch I needed to get the ball joint nut on. But she's all back in and together now. I'm kind of glad that I decided to do that instead of just deal with the exhaust hitting on stuff, because there was a brake line over on the passenger side that had found its way in between the caliper and the rim, and you could see some rub marks on it. So I was able to get that cleared and up out of the way, and was also able to climb around under here and do a quick bolt check on everything. So now we're going to go ahead and throw these rims on here, drop this thing down. Fingers crossed it looks cooler than it did before, especially since I'm actually going to be able to pull into the driveway with it. So, and I'll do a quick once around video showing it on the outside, do a before and after on it or whatever, but really not a bad job for an afternoon. I think it took a couple hours and I wasn't like, you know, busting ass going crazy on it, sweating balls on it or anything. So let's get it out of here. So personally, I could not be happier at how this thing turned out. I mean, first off, we don't have to worry about speed bumps and pulling in the driveway anymore, but it just looks mean, and it just changed the entire look of the car. For some reason, these Tri-Fives, when you lower them, they just look like a much longer, leaner machine, and I really like this stocky, just muscle car mean look. So I am extremely excited. I cannot wait to get some miles on this thing. We're going to run it over and get an alignment done this week, and next time you see this thing, it'll probably be on a road, not in a garage.
This time you push a button.